Recently, I went through a separation after nearly 2 decades together. There was grief, shock, and it was honestly one of the hardest things I've ever had to go through. And as time passed and wounds began to heal, I started doing the math on my own life. I realized if I'm lucky, I have maybe 20 good years left where I'm healthy, active, and able to show up for the things that I want. Obviously, I hope it's longer. I hope I'm still going strong well into my 80s and 90s. But 20 years from now, I'll be close to 70, and that hit me hard. I've been looking at my life and realizing how much I've sacrificed. My wants, needs, personal dreams and desires, and I know I'm not alone in that. It's not uncommon to lose yourself slowly in relationships, motherhood, in just trying to keep up with the demands of daily life. And that's why I decided that this next chapter, my second act of life, is going to look different. And that's what this video is about. Things I've quit at 47 so that I could finally start living life on my terms. I quit explaining myself. I don't know if this is because I have severe to moderate ADHD, but I always feel like I have to preemptively explain my choices and my feelings and defend myself before I feel like someone is going to attack me for doing things a certain way. I think that there was just this fear underneath it all that if I didn't justify myself fully, then people would think I'm a bad person, or I'm selfish, or I'm a bad mother, or they would judge choices that I've made. So before they had a chance to judge me, I would over-explain myself so that I could stop the attack before it would happen. I think if you're ADHD, this is maybe a form of masking. You feel like your instincts and your needs and your feelings and your choices always need to have a disclaimer. The need to over-explain myself has shown up in so many ways throughout my life. Whether it was over-explaining a reason why I didn't want to do something, or over-explaining a decision that I made, over-explaining my parenting choices, and always feeling judged for whatever I did or feeling misunderstood. But one of the beautiful gifts of midlife and being in my 40s is I don't feel that same need to defend myself constantly. I am getting much better at no being a full sentence or making a decision about kids or my business or the content that I put out and not feeling like I need it to win people's approval. Now I'm much more inclined to say, this is what works for me or doesn't, and just leave it at that. So one thing that I'm better at now is just recognizing that I don't owe anyone an explanation for wanting something that I want or making a decision that suits me or my family. And I don't need to defend any of those things in order to live my life. What's an area of your life that you feel like you're constantly over-explaining and defending when you have every right just to say no? I quit trying to get everyone to like me. This one goes so deep. And I think a part of that, again, goes back to having ADHD and always feeling like an outsider, like you don't really belong. I remember from a very young age, always contorting my personality and changing my energy and my mood and my jokes and my opinions based on the energy of the people in the room. And I don't think that this was performative, and I don't think that I was being fake. I think that I was masking as a way to fit into the tribe when I never felt like I really ever belonged anywhere. Everyone knows that survival means fitting into the tribe. So I would just contort my personality to suit whatever group of people I was around. And that is an exhausting way to live. You're never quite yourself in any group of people. And nobody really ever gets to know the real you. Even with my content, I have been a content creator posting online for the last 10 or 11 years. And in the early years, if somebody left me a negative comment or had something negative to say about something I posted or disagreed with me, it was very destabilizing. I would rethink my whole strategy and I would worry for days and weeks about a comment that I received and start to doubt my own beliefs and what I felt felt to be true, and it would hinder the way that I would show up online, always worried about this negative criticism from others. But now, if I get a negative comment from somebody, I try to be kind and I move on from it quite easily. Of course, I don't try to offend people for the sake of offending people, but I stand firm in what I believe and what I value, and I'm not afraid to share that online anymore. One of the beautiful things I think about being in my 40s is that I now care more about protecting my internal peace than caring if people like me or not. And this has been honestly one of the biggest gifts of midlife, is the amount of energy you stop wasting on people who are not your people. And the sooner that you stop chasing the ones who aren't, the more energy you have for the ones who are. I quit following social media accounts that made me feel bad. And I know this one sounds so simple, but the impact of this one is enormous. I was following accounts online, some in my space, some not in my space. And every time they would pop up in my feed, I would feel like this low-level deflation. This could honestly look like anything from comparison. Maybe you're following people who have this beautiful life that they share, and it makes you feel envious to the point that you stop focusing on building your own thing, your own life, your own business, and you get so wrapped up in somebody else's that it just makes you feel inferior or like your dream isn't possible. Or maybe you're following people with these perfectly curated lives. You're watching their highlight reel, believing that that's their real life too, and it makes you feel inadequate in some way. It really doesn't matter if it is somebody you know or you don't know. If they show up in your feed, whether it's YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Substack, wherever you like to consume your content, and if you feel guilt, resentment, bitterness, envy, jealousy, rage, anger, feelings of inadequacy, like you don't measure up, and it takes you away from focusing on living your own life, and it takes away things like joy and peace and happiness and love, it's not worth it. Stop following them and be relentless in your pursuit of curating a space on your phone and in your feed that protects your energy, that gives you the feeling that you want to have in your day-to-day life. Your feed is just information feeding your nervous system every time you open it. And you get to choose what information it gets fed. I quit waiting until I felt ready. I cannot tell you how often I had ideas for something that I wanted to do, and I was always waiting for this confirmation, this certainty that it was the right path for me, or that I was in a position like it felt like the right time to do the thing. And the reality is that feelings of readiness, they just don't come. Most people who've ever done anything that was worthwhile, that was uncomfortable, that was big or scary, have never felt ready. I know that when I started this business 10, 11 years ago, the very first blog post that I ever published, I sat on it and perfected it day after day for 6 months before I published it. I never felt ready. I was so scared to put my thoughts and my ideas out into the world. Fear of judgment, rejection, criticism. And then when I did that, I ripped the Band-Aid off, and it made it easier to publish the next post, and again and again. There was a point in my business where I was comfortable having people read my writing. I was comfortable with being on like an audio podcast and having people hear my voice and my thoughts, but I wasn't comfortable being on video. And I remember feeling like that I was never going to feel comfortable on camera. But here's what I've learned is that you never have those feelings of readiness by watching another YouTube video. You never get there by taking more courses, doing more training, reading more about the thing. Those feelings of readiness start to come when you get out there and you actually do the thing. The more you do it, the more confidence you have, and the more you continue to build that muscle. YouTube is my business. I have a very complicated life. I have a busy life with 2 kids, and I build this channel in the tiny margins of life. And I can tell you with certainty that that feeling of readiness does not come before you start the thing. It's a feeling that starts to arrive because you did. I quit comparing myself to others. I feel like being in this online space, building a content creation business is really brutal for this. Comparing yourself to other people who have viral videos, who are posting way more frequently than you are, who have way more followers, who get much more engagement on their channel, or when they post something, you see their income going up. And you look at their numbers and then you look at yours and something in you just completely deflates. I was constantly comparing myself to other people online who were doing similar work to me, who were seemingly going at a pace that was much faster, posting a lot more frequently, earning a lot more from their launches than I was. And I always felt like I was doing something wrong. Like maybe I was just not meant to do this. And I always felt really down on myself. And then I realized I'm comparing myself to people who, many of them don't have children. Some of them don't even have a spouse. Some of them have 40 hours in a week compared to my maybe 2 hours here and 2 hours there. And it's always very distracted time. It's not like a focused 2 or 3 hours in the day. And I kept wondering, why was I doing this to myself? Why was I constantly comparing myself to people who aren't even on a level playing field? And one of the gifts that midlife has given me is clarity. At some point, I stopped looking sideways and I really got my blinders on and really started to focus on my own journey, my own path on what I could do. Instead of always comparing my start or my middle to somebody else's chapter 10 or chapter 15 and feeling really down on myself, I just focused on what I could do and what I wanted for my life. So instead of asking myself questions like, why can't I keep up? Or why can't I move as quickly as everybody else? I ask myself instead, what do I want for my life and for this business? And what actually feels good for me? Going from that shift of seeking approval to trusting myself is not something I would give up for anything. I quit waiting for permission. Nobody is going to give you the green light on your creative dreams. Nobody is going to come along and say, yes, you are allowed to do this. For the longest time, I would keep my ideas and my creative work small, partly because that just felt safer, but also I think there was a part of me that was just waiting for somebody to come along and take what I was doing seriously before I did. I kept wanting someone to come along and say, you're allowed to want this. This is real, and I fully support you. But unfortunately, that moment never came. And anytime that I would do something for myself, anytime that I would shift my focus away from family life and focus on my business, I always had this guilt about it. I always felt like I should be doing something else, or I shouldn't be working on my business. Like this is a frivolous waste of time. And even though for many years I was freelancing, I've done lots of design work for clients, I've written lots of websites, I've created ads for people, I've done all kinds of different things in the past 10 years, and I would make money in my business, I was not taking it seriously. And it took getting monetized on YouTube for something in my brain to shift and go, okay, this is a business now, and it's time to treat it like it's a business. And it was me allowing myself to put other things on the back burner that felt just as equally as important as this YouTube business, for me to say, okay, this is important. And what I realized is that at some point, you just have to be the one who says, this matters to me, I want this, and I'm doing it. I quit apologizing for retreating. I'm a hermit by nature. I always have been. I need quiet time to recharge and reflect, the same as other people need social interaction like air to breathe. I always felt bad for saying no to things, for wanting to just stay at home and hibernate and have time with my own thoughts and spend time on my creativity. And I would always feel like I was letting others down by putting this need out there and above what other people wanted of me. But what I know is that I cannot create from an empty bucket, and I cannot give to others if I'm giving from an empty place. I also don't have a lot of time to create content, to put videos together, to edit and do all of the things that I need to do in order to make this a business. So when I have pockets of free time, it's often going to creating content for YouTube. And I've just accepted that this is how my life is, and I need to retreat away in order to recharge and in order to have the time and energy and space to build something here. And I just stopped feeling sorry about it. Just think about your life for a second. And when is the last time that you really gave yourself permission to just retreat away for a day? What would that even feel like? I quit moving at everyone else's pace. I think this one ties in a little bit to the comparison one because for a long time, again, I was comparing myself as a creator to other creators who were going at a pace that was much faster than I was able to keep up with. And they didn't have kids, they didn't have a spouse, and if they had kids, they didn't have kids with high needs. They didn't have all of the day-to-day challenges that I was dealing with. But yet, I continued to try to keep up with the pace and the flow that they were going at. And that had led me to burnout more times than I can count. It led me to resenting my business and almost giving it up so many times and throwing in the towel and just burning it all down. But I realized that I can do this at a pace that works for me. And the moment I stopped always comparing myself to other people who were going much faster than me, and I started to focus on what I could build in a way that felt sustainable for me with my energy, the way my brain works, and all of the things that I have on my plate, I stopped feeling behind. I'm just on my own timeline, and honestly, that's the only timeline that's ever gonna work for me. It's nice to not have my energy being consumed by all of the pressure and to always be on this up and down roller coaster trying to keep up with what everybody else is doing and burning myself out and then almost giving up on this business so many times. But it's nice to recognize now that the pace that I go at is not failure, it's just mine. And now I accept it versus working against it all of the time and always having that fear of missing out and feeling like I was always behind. I quit treating my business like an afterthought. I realized that if I wanted to build something here and I wanted to have a comfortable income, I had to take my business seriously. And for so many years, it was always treated like an afterthought. My priority as a stay-at-home mom has always been kids come first, their needs come first. And there are times that I still have to put my business on the back burner because something comes up and takes my energy or time away from it. And that's just the reality of my life. But I also know that, especially having a YouTube business, your content and your online presence, it compounds. You can't be taking breaks and taking off for a month or a few weeks and expect to come back and have everything just continue to grow and flow the way that it was when you were being consistent. So consistency is so important. And I now look at YouTube as my business, which has changed how I show up for it, which means, yes, we were all just sick. We've been sick for the last 6 weeks, and it's really put me behind in putting out videos, but I was a few days late versus taking off a week or 2 weeks. And if you want to have a business like this that grows, you want to turn your creativity into a business, you can't treat it like an afterthought. It has to be taken seriously. You have to make time for it. I think that you can do it in a way that still works around family life, that works around your kids, or what other responsibilities and priorities that you have. I think that's possible, but you can't always be putting other things ahead of it if you want it to grow. You have to nurture it like any other aspect of your life in order for you to get results, in order for you to generate an income from it and build something that feels meaningful and sustainable. Don't treat your dreams and your business like the leftovers. I really try to give my business my best hours when I can and giving it the legitimacy that it deserves. You can want a beautiful, quiet, creative life and want to build something meaningful that earns a sustainable income. And I stopped apologizing for that. My life is complicated, it's full, it's busy, it's chaotic on most days. I'm in the thick of it on most of these things a lot of the time, but I am getting better at creating a life on my terms in a way that works for me and for my kids. If any of this resonated with you or you're in the thick of it too and you're trying to figure out what your next chapter looks like, I think you would like this next video. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I will see you again next week. Bye for now.